the right person. There is no right person if you keep changing and reading and learning more. The person you married when you were 21 is the wrong person when you're 42. Unless they read the same books you read and you share values. You see what I mean? So you can't have a constant anything. There's no final thing you can work on that works. There's no best language. Some people say, what if we learn interlingua or something like that, some universal language. Universal language doesn't change people. Semantics doesn't change people unless you change the whole society. Semantics will use it to make more money. They'll use semantics or anything else. So you don't have a decent society. You can't even be decent. Let's say you're a decent woman and you work for Macy's, and the woman next to you says, how much is that lamp? And you say $20. She says, I'll take 2. Being decent and a Christian, you say, if you go 4 stores down, you get the same lamp for $10. You won't be working for Macy's very long. So how can you be decent and be a lawyer? How can you be decent and be a psychiatrist? $65 an hour. If the guy has financial problems, give him some money so he can easily solve his problems. But the psychiatrist makes it more difficult for a person with financial problems. So psychiatrists are decent. They act in accordance with the society they live in. I'm sorry if you're a psychiatrist. But anyway, same with psychology. Now, people are not brought up to be sane because they don't know what that means. Being sane, you don't look at an airplane and say, that's a new kind of plane, it'll never fly. Which is the way people will talk in the future. I don't see any wings on that plane. How do you propose to lift off the ground without wings? It's really a question. Not, it'll never fly, it doesn't have any wings. You don't know what you're talking about. When you see a new type of anything, you say, where's the image screen on the TV set? Well, in the future, there'll be no image screen. They'll generate an image in your room. The next thing on TV is 3D without glasses. What comes after that? Generated images. You can have your brother-in-law sit in your house, and he lives in California, and he's sitting on the couch. The only thing that matters, you put your hand through him, and people won't like that. I'd like to be able to shake hands with my brother-in-law. That's the next thing on TV, called teletactile imaging. Now you say, well, how the hell can you make teletactile imaging? I'm going to tell you how. At the tip of your finger, you have a batch of nerves. When you stick this finger in cold water, the transmission of that cold to the brain is so many thousand cycles per second. When you stick your finger in hot water, it's hot, the transmission is different. So if you learn what those transmissions are and play them into the finger, you can play your finger in hot water, salt water, touching a balloon. Do you understand what I mean? From the fingertip to the brain, there's a transmission of so many cycles per second. Your tongue has holes in it, lots of them. And when you eat bacon and eggs, it falls in that hole, it's pre-digested, and the nerve underneath it titillates a certain way to the brain, which you interpret as bacon and eggs. When we find out those frequencies, that's what we'll be studying in the future. When people say, what will people do? You can make anything taste like anything else. And you can make, they say in your school books, everybody gets old and dies. So we all accept that. But the medics tell us, the physiologists, that plaque accumulates in our blood vessels. And the wall becomes thick like a clogged sewer pipe. And the nutrients can't get out, so you get old and wrinkled. Not because you're getting old and wrinkled, because we don't know how to maintain the body at its optimal. But we're moving fast in that direction, and we'll be able to clean out the blood vessels and keep you at 22 all the time, or go back to a 22, or whatever age is your maximum performance. People can live indefinitely when people learn more about how the body works. Instead of praying, dear God, it hadn't rained for 6 months, my plants are drying now, dig a ditch, an irrigation ditch. All the scientists are trying to tell you, get up off your ass and make it a better place. Instead of hoping that the Lord shall give us peace on earth and goodwill to all people. What the hell does that mean? Nothing. You give lip service to religion. God is wonderful, God is great. You know, it's like bringing the teacher an apple. They're trying to get on the good side of God. They can't even conceive of God. So I'm saying to you, if you want a better world, you have to agree with some portions of what I say or disagree. And please don't be polite when you ask questions. If you ask questions, if I fail to answer it, say you didn't answer my question. Don't be polite, please. So let's go to a question. Yes? Let me have a little bit of this first.
My name is Daniel Rosenberg. I'm thinking of the prospect of how fast Venus Project could be implemented, and secondly also being a little bit flippant here in Denmark, which is where I live, and I regard it as a hobbit kind of county where we are very, very insulated. We are on the top of the food chain. And but it's probably one of the best places in Scandinavia to create a Venus Project if there were, you know, philanthropists getting together. I know this sounds utopian to people, but how fast could this be done? You think, provided that there was a lot of goodwill and good people?
I'm sorry, these gadgets don't work too well. I still don't know what your question is.
The question is, how fast can the Venus Project be made, real?
How much work you do doesn't depend on. I have no power at all. It's what you do. Whatever country I go to and speak, if the people do nothing, nothing will happen. The more you work at it and educate people as to what the Venus Project is, the sooner you'll see it. Or if you do nothing, we'll probably kill each other. Our language, our social habits are moving towards self-destruction and environmental destruction. I don't like what I'm saying, but I just, yes, sir.
We'll have a question over here.
Hello, my name is Marius Budu. I was wondering, you talked about the current definition of sustainability where it just means that the people in power get to stay in power and keep the system the way it is.
That's what they mean by sustainability.
Sorry?
That's what they mean
right.
by sustainability.
In order to implement these new cities, using the new resource-based system rather than monetary system, how do you propose to bridge the gap where you build a city that is resource-based in a context that is still monetary-based?
I understand. Years ago, when I first was designing this system, I asked myself, that's what thinking is, talking to yourself. I asked myself, how are we going to change all these people? They have different values, different customs, different language, different interpretations. So that's the time I joined the Ku Klux Klan in Miami. The reason I joined to see if I can change them. So I dissolved that organization in a month and a half, alone. Then I joined the White Citizens Council. The White Citizens Council hates foreigners, all foreigners. So I joined that organization, I dissolved it in 1 month. Then I asked some questions in New York. What are the most backward people in the area? They said, the Arabs. I said, what makes you think they're backward? That group still believes the earth is flat. Not all Arabs, the group they were talking about. So I said, boy, if I'm going to try to change the world, I've got to change them. So I called up the lead Arab. He said, want to know whether I was an Arab? And I said, yes, I'm not an Arab. But that's to gain entry. So he said to me, where was your father born? And all that. And I gave him places that he would accept. So he says, come and saw me, which means come and see me. So when I came to see him, he said to me, you believe the world is round? I said, yes. He went, in his language, that means it can't be round. You're wrong. So he held up his hands like this, and he said, Jacque, if world is round, man fall me down here. All the water, he fall me down from the world. There'd be no ocean, nothing. Kept pointing to his head, how smart he was. So I figured I have to